Hello there, it's Gabby here from Confidence After Cancer. I hope this finds you well. This week, I'm going to be talking about a subject that's very close to my heart and something that I have struggled with for many years, and that is people pleasing. And the fact that there's a lot of research now and there's books being written, there's all sorts of information available and proving the link between people pleasing and ill health. And so it's not something that's a minor inconvenience. Actually, people pleasing is something that if you don't deal with, is going to negatively affect your life and possibly make you ill as well, which is something that we don't want. So I'm going to talk about why people pleasing can make you ill, how it leads to resentment if it's not dealt with, but what can you do about it? I'm going to talk about setting boundaries, which is something that I struggled with for many years, but something that I've learned a lot about recently in the last few years, and something that I help my clients with as well, because it's such a common problem. As you know, with me, there's no judgment here. I like to share my experience of what I've learned. I like to share the experience of what my clients are learning as well to help other people, because a lot of these problems are common. There's nothing wrong with you if you experience any of this, and these are things that can be fixed. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about that. I'm also going to talk to you about if any of this is resonating with you, how you can work with me and we can work together to overcome this. So first of all, I'm going to talk about people pleasing and what is it. And one definition that I really like, and it made it clear to me then, is people pleasing is giving up what matters to you so that you can belong. And that's true, isn't it? Well, it has been for me in the past. I don't know if you can resonate. Another reason why you might become a people pleaser, and this was true for me, was to avoid conflict. I was a very shy, timid child. I grew up in a household where there was a lot of tension, a lot of aggression. And I learned very young to keep quiet, not to say what I wanted, to try and keep the peace and try and be a good girl. But that didn't always work. And so for me, keeping the peace and people pleasing was a way for me of avoiding conflict. But that was a habit that I got into. And in later life, either in my personal relationships or family relationships or people that I work with, I still got in that habit of being a people pleaser because it was a learnt behavior that I had to change. The other reason is that we might be inclined to be a people pleaser is to keep a relationship intact. And again, that could be a personal relationship, or it could be, people, colleagues that you work with, to make your boss like you. If you might be, as some people are, chronically stressed because you believe that if you don't please your boss, if you don't give him or her what they need from you, you could be at danger of losing your job. And for some people, that's a real fear that they have, a very real fear that they lose their job, they lose their livelihood. And so that's a very difficult thing to live with. And prolonged stress, as we know, can lead to illness. Your body will somehow keep the score. If you're living in chronic stress, that's not a good thing. So really, to get over being a people pleaser, you have to cultivate habits that enable you to listen to your own heart louder than you do the voices of others. Sometimes we might think, well, I have to keep the peace with my boss, but with my family, it's just easier sometimes just to go with the flow. And I know that, as a mother or as a wife, particularly women, but it can apply to men as well. We get in the habit, you have a small child, and quite rightly so, that small child, their needs come first. But quite often we get into habits of always putting ourselves second. If there's food is short, is scarce, then you feed the family first and you'll have what's left. If money is scarce, well, their needs have to be taken account for first. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine if you're dealing with small children or you're dealing with people who rely on you. But quite often we can just get in that habit of always putting ourselves second and not really asking for what we want or standing up for what we believe in. That's another common one, is to, be quiet. I don't really want to argue about whatever, politics or what I believe in, because I don't want people to think that I'm a troublemaker, or I don't want people to think that I'm not a nice person. But it doesn't make you an unpleasant person just to state what you believe and to ask for what you're worth. Okay. And again, it's listening to your heart, knowing what's right for you. And again, there's no judgment with any of this. Sometimes you do have to pick your battles. You can't be demanding everything that you want in life to go exactly your way. We know that relationships are all about give and take, but it's that two-way thing, and if you're constantly feeling that you are giving more than you are receiving, that can build resentment, and that resentment has to go somewhere. I know this. Little resentments over time can build up and build up, so they become big problems if they're not addressed. Okay. There's research that says that 70% of people say yes when they mean no. Okay, so this is a common thing. There's no judgment here. It's a very, very common thing that people are busy, or they're just in the habit of just doing whatever, or they're too stressed to think about what they really want. And quite often it's easier in the moment, just a short-term thing, just to agree with what anybody else asks you to do, whether you want to or not. But conflict doesn't go away. Okay, it goes to a different place. It will be held in your body. And I know this, stress and tension will be held in your body, and sooner or later can manifest in illness. And none of us want that. So can you unlearn people pleasing? And I really believe that you can. And it's something that I've done myself. It's something that I've worked with my clients on doing. But it's like any habit. In the beginning, it's like learning to drive a car. If you've ever learned to drive a car, it requires a lot of concentration and a lot of attention and a lot of focus, and it can almost seem impossible, but it's not impossible. It's quite easy sometimes just to change those habits by deciding for you, well, what is important. Again, pick your battles. You don't want to argue about everything, and it's not about having an argument. It's about becoming really comfortable with setting your boundaries. And that is something that I used to struggle with. It wasn't just setting the boundaries, it was communicating those boundaries in a way that felt good for me and the person that I was communicating with as well. And that's something that I work with my coaching clients with a lot, is about setting boundaries. Because if you don't set those boundaries, you're never going to get the balance in your life that you want, the amount of focus and attention and the time that you want for yourself to be able to lead a happy and healthy life. I really believe that. So if you're chronically stressed or scared of getting fired or scared that people don't like you, if you believe that nobody will help you anyway, it's quite common to stop asking for help, isn't it? And again, those are habits that we can easily fall into. But resentment can build when you let your boundaries get ignored. Okay. And again, that's something that I can work with you on. Defining what your boundaries are, defining what's important to you, putting those building blocks in place. Okay. And defining those and being really comfortable at expressing what you want. Okay. There's a book by Dr. Neha Sangwan called Powered by Me, and it's called From Burned Out to Fully Charged at Work. So she talks a lot about setting boundaries at work, and she said everything changed when I could hear the voice of my own heart louder than I could hear the voice of others. Okay, and she's a medical doctor and she's done a lot of research, and she talks about the fact that illness leads to stress, and that is often accompanied by lack of boundaries and people pleasing. And she talks as well about burnout at work, but also in personal life, can happen on 5 different levels. So the physical, the mental, emotional, social, and spiritual needs that we all have. And again, it's about, this is such a personal thing. I'm not here to say what's important to you. I know what's important to me now. I know what's important to the clients that I work with. And just sometimes asking for what you want seems like an impossible task. And that's really where coaching comes in. I do work with coaching clients. I help them to set boundaries. I help them become really confident and comfortable with setting boundaries, because they know by doing that, it's like any new habit that you're going to learn. It might feel a little bit uncomfortable and a bit strange at first. But once you get into that habit of listening to your own heart and knowing that what you want is just as important as what other people around you want, but you need to hear your own heart. You need to hear your own voice louder than you can hear other people's, whether it's your boss, your partner, your children, whoever it is around you, making those demands on you. You matter, my love. You really do. You know in your heart that you do. And once you can be aligned with what's in your heart, and you can remove that stress and that tension from your life, then you can start to fully experience joy in the everyday. Now, I'm not saying that I am a 10 out of 10 happy-go-lucky person all the time, but I can tell you I've done a lot of work of removing stress from my life. And some of it required conscious effort. And some of it was about setting boundaries with people who weren't ready to listen to what I wanted. But I know, and I still know, how important it was for me to set those boundaries. And now I've done it. I'm living in my truth. I'm living very happily with the decisions that I've made, and I'm helping other people to do the same. I don't want to think that anybody that's listening to this is feeling stressed out and feeling like there's nothing they can do about changing their life, because, my love, there is always something you can do, no matter how impossible things seem. And so if you feel like that, please reach out to me, because I'd love to spend some time with you. That's what I do. That's what I love to do. The way I work with people is varied depending on where you are. If you're local to me, we can physically get together. But obviously, most people that I work with, I work over the internet with. We connect on calls, on Zoom calls, video calls, or on phone calls. We could do an intensive day where we're actually going to get to the root of whatever it is in your life that you're struggling with. I'm here for you. Or some people prefer to do an hour session, maybe once a week or maybe once a fortnight. And we can book a series of those sessions as well, to really get to a place where you are living in your bliss, okay? Where you are living the happy and healthy life that you are entitled to live, my love. And so I really want to leave you with this thought. If you are a people pleaser, what's it costing you? Okay, it might be for the short term that, yeah, you're keeping the peace, you're avoiding an argument, you're avoiding conflict. But sooner or later, I really believe any tension or any stress, your body does keep score. I think there's a book called that, isn't it? Your body keeps score. But it will come out sooner or later. You cannot walk around full of stress, full of tension, and expect to have full and vibrant health. Your body will let you know sooner or later when you're not treating it in the way that you should. And so if there's anything I can do to help you remove your stress, please get in touch. There will be a link around this podcast somewhere for you to send me a message or get in touch or book a call with me. I'd love to speak to you. It'd be lovely to hear from you. So as always, stay safe, stay sane, and have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.